Okay, can you tell me who you are and what your connection is with North Kilworth, please?
So my name's McHenry. I am a director at Cadman Homes. We're a local family-owned and run estate agents. I'm also a community volunteer with Leicestershire Police. I've lived in North Kilworth for about 6 years now, so still relative newcomers. And this is our lockdown story.
Okay, so how has lockdown affected you well, first of all, in your business life, how has it affected that?
We got the announcement, I think, on the Monday night that we were going into a national lockdown on the Tuesday. So initially panic stations, what does it mean for the business? How we were luckily quite well geared up to work virtually, but you've still got those processes to put into place at very short notice. But the big worry was what's happening with the business, what's happening with the staff, where do we go? And without being an advocate for the government, the furlough scheme being brought in straight away alleviated a lot of those concerns. So initially it was a bit of turmoil and a bit of panic. Once we'd settled into a routine, it was more pragmatic and more planning, and the novelty of Zoom meetings that we were just talking about and all those things. Very quickly that got boring. For someone like me who's a bit of a social animal, it was very, very weird. And personally very difficult being locked up. I don't want to say just with my wife, but that's the only person you speak to or see for 3, 6, 8, 9, 10 weeks. And it was weird, it was really weird. And there's almost like that zombie apocalypse thing where every time you did go out, you were kind of paranoid about putting gloves on and masks on and all that kind of stuff. And it was tough. We've probably done better than others through it, but personally it was tough at the time.
And did your business continue through a lockdown? Were people still buying houses, renting
Well,
houses?
That's the interesting thing. So we ran the business through furlough as directors, keeping the business essentials going. Lettings was bonkers. For some reason, the tap didn't turn off. The sales side died overnight because nobody could view properties, no solicitors were open, no mortgage advisors were open. So that was a real sort of shock in a way. But one thing it did do was sort of open up personally something which was quite sort of soul searching in a way, which was overnight we were told that we could only rent vacant properties to key workers. And so we had to ask people if they had their key worker letter. And actually it kind of reversed what you probably thought a key worker would have been. So we had people coming to us who were pizza delivery boys and stacking shelves in truck stops who are key workers. And actually it was quite refreshing to have the balance of power sort of turned on its head. It's the old adage, the dustman or the brain surgeon, who's most important? Well, in those situations, it was very much so the dustman.
Yeah, fantastic. That's really interesting. So it's affected you massively in terms of your business and having to reorganise the way you do business. What about the other areas of your life and your activity?
So I was part of a small group of people who, within the Kilworths, very quickly clubbed together and sent letters out to everyone in the villages saying, if you need support, if you're vulnerable, if you need shopping, if you need a chat, please contact us at any time. It's what we're here for. And the response and the rallying of the people in the villages was just first rate. So personally, it brought me into contact with people that I'd only ever nodded at in the street or waved to in the car in the morning. And you get to know your neighbours a lot more. And we got one phone call from a chap, and I said, okay, what can I get you? And he told us. And I said, do I know you from locally? And he said, you're the guy that waves to me every morning when you're on the way to work. And I said, yeah, I know exactly who you are now. So it was really nice connecting with people who you possibly wouldn't have done in regular society. Yeah. There was a lovely old lady in South Kilworth, for example, who everyone became very fond of, who we probably would never have met socially. So there were real positives to that and a real sense of community. Business-wise, we adjusted. We've come through without any battle scars, luckily, and we're in a good position. But again, what it has taught us is that we can run less geographically. So we can open up the business to new ideas and opportunities in new areas. And personally, it's opened up a community that I wouldn't have accessed without it. So actually, there are some real positives to take from it as well.
So in terms of your own personal life, how has it affected you, Adam?
As I said before, I'm a social person and like bumping into people and going for a pint or a coffee or whatever. As you know, we've done it a few times ourselves. And it was really hard. It was really tough adapting to, I don't even want to call it the new normal, but not having conversations face to face with people, not being able to visit relatives, and if you do bump into friends or relatives, not being able to give them a hug. I'm part of a local business group. We meet every Thursday morning. That's now online. And people I've known for 5, 6, 7, 8 years in business who are now very good friends. Not having that physical connectivity was really tough. Really tough. And it not being able to hug friends and family or shake hands for someone that's quite tactile was actually quite tough. And that's before we get on to the woe is me, what's going to happen to the business or what's going to happen to anything else. Just as a person, sort of heart and soul, it wasn't great. Coping mechanisms that we employed was making sure that first of all we got out for a really long walk with the dogs every day, and that there was a treat at the end of that, so there was something to look forward to. So whether it was a sausage sandwich at the end of the dog walk with the sausages you've just bought from the butcher's down the road, or whether it was a glass of wine at 5 o'clock when you switch the laptop off for the day, having something to look forward to. And also trying to make at least 2 calls weekly to relatives to make sure that they were okay. Because my family aren't round here. So it was really important to keep in contact with those people as closely as you could. In terms of other aspects of my life, I'm a community volunteer with Leicestershire Police. I literally joined the force as the lockdown happened. So there was no in-house training. Meetings have been done on Teams and very remote. But what we haven't been able to do is get into the community and give the advice and the help. And that, in normal times, would have caused potentially an increase in crime and people feeling insecure and unsecure. I think luckily, because no one was around in lockdown, that didn't happen as much because, as one guy on the force said, the only people on the road are pizza delivery boys and criminals. So they were very easy to spot. But it has been tough, and it's been tough for the more vulnerable people in the community, and there are always those people that will exploit a negative situation or any situation, and we've seen a lot of that with the neighbourhood watch bulletins about scams on the phone and people knocking on people's doors pretending to be from the NHS and taking money off the vulnerable, and that's just awful. But I think overall we've sort of come through that part now, but again it was really tough not being able to be in the community and help those people.
I always ask people if they had to find 3 words to sum up their experience of lockdown, what would those 3 words be?
Well, the first time, the first stab at it, I think personally it was very worrying. Professionally, it's actually been quite liberating. And socially, it's been very, very hard, open bracket, to adapt to, close bracket. So if I had to pick those words, it will be in that order, I would say.
That's great.